I'm skipping past my usual intro for this video, so we just move right along. If you appreciate that, I would appreciate a thumbs up to let me know you like it. Let's just get straight to work. All right, so we're in advanced custom fields. We have this field group created called product. Now, if you need to go back, check out my first video on advanced custom fields so you can get started learning how to create field groups and fields. Otherwise, I'm going to assume you have some basic knowledge of advanced custom fields and going to kind of move along, but show you everything that you need to know as we're setting things up. Okay, so here's our field group, and let's just go on in here and edit this. We called this product, but I went ahead for clarity, removed all the other fields that we created from previous videos. And so the only thing that's going to show up is our image on this post that we're going to create. Okay, so our field group, the first thing we're going to want to make sure is that this post type is equal to post. Now, obviously you could have this show up on any kind of post type that you want. We're just going to continue to use the regular post type. All these settings below here are all standard settings. I'm just gonna keep them as is. That's our field. So let's just go ahead and update this guy. So what we want to do is add our field, and we are gonna make this an image field. So I always like to come down here and select my field type first before I move on with the rest of my settings. Image. So we're gonna give this a name. So we're gonna call this product image. And while we're in this field, we're just gonna press tab and it's gonna populate our field name for us. Field type is set. Instructions are going to be to, okay, our instructions will be upload product image. I'm not going to make this required. So here's an important setting right here is the return format. So you can have the option to return, obviously, as you read here, an image and array, an image URL, and an image ID. If you're familiar with WordPress, you know every post, every page, and every image that you upload and create in WordPress is given an ID, okay? So the images are given IDs as well. You could have it return the image URL, which is just gonna be where the image lives, and you could use this in various settings. You could still pull up the image, but that's all it's gonna spit out is the image URL. What we're gonna use is the image array, and the image array is going to spit out things like the alt tag, the title tag, and other attributes like sizes and so on and so forth that WordPress creates and advanced custom fields creates when creating this image function. So we're going to keep it at image array. So I'm going to go through and show you how each one of these kind of appear on the front end, and they're a little bit different. So we're going to keep our preview size at 300 by 300. You see here you could select any type of size. As a matter of fact, more appropriately, it might be 150 by 150. Now, this is just the preview size that's on the back end as the author, the post author is creating that page and entering their fields. And when they upload an image, this is just the example of what the image looks like. And this will not show up on the front end of the website. That you have to style into the code. And we're going to go ahead and allow from all. You could say that they have to upload it. It has to be uploaded as they post. Or if you have all, that means they could select the library. We're just going to leave our minimum and maximum widths and heights for this image and the file size as empty. You could obviously allow anything that you want. You could select file types that you want to be allowed. This is important if you want to make sure people aren't uploading like PDFs and stuff like that. You could have that here, and it will specifically only allow the types that you enter here. So make sure you go somewhere and maybe select from a list of popular image types so that you don't accidentally leave something out like a GIF or something. We're not going to use any conditional logic or give it any wrapper attributes. So we have our product image field, and so we're going to go ahead and update that. So now let's come back over here to our post. You'll see that we have this this demo post that we created, and we're just going to go ahead and come over here to edit this guy. Okay, so we have our advanced custom fields demo post, and we would have our regular usual content here. And down here, you'll see we have our custom field group of product and a field where we could add an image. So let's go ahead and add an image. And we have this image here that we're going to use. You could upload an image just like you would in any other post when you're creating a post in WordPress. And if I select on this image, you'll see that I have some alt text in there, a title, and a caption. And these are all things that you want to do when uploading an image. Okay, so for the various readers and SEO, to have all these fields filled out is a good idea. So we're just going to go ahead and select this image, and you can see it right here. Now this is the thumbnail. Okay, this is just an example of the image that we chose, and remember we chose it to display in a 150 by 150 thumbnail, and that's what this is. Of course, in the back end, if you wanted the author to see the exact size that they're going to upload it, you could change those settings there. Okay, so we have our post, and so we're going to go ahead and update this. We'll come to our post and refresh it and scroll down to our content area, and it's not here, and because obviously we need to go to the back end and work in our code. If you're following along with my previous videos, I like to take you over here to advanced custom fields, and we're going to look at the image documentation for the image field. It has all the settings that we went through. You can see some of the new items that were added in the previous versions. And you can see that some of the settings were as we described earlier. The return format is either the object array, the URL, or the ID. This is going to be an array. This is just one single string, and this is a number. Okay, this is going to return the number. Real quick here, I want to show you, we're over here in our media, in our WordPress backend, and I want to show you, just in case you wanted to use some of these options like the image ID. So if I come over here and I hover over my image, down here in the address tool, you'll see that it says post equals 22, and that is the image ID. You could do this with a post, you could do this with a page, and you could do this with an image, and you'll see that it gives everything a post, and that post ID is what they are referring to over here, the ID. The URL is where this item lives. Okay, so if we go ahead and open this guy up, you'll see this is the file URL. Okay, and the preview size, the library, and the minimum, maximum are all items that we went through. Now let's go down to template usage. Let's start with the display image with the image ID. So let's come back over here to our field group and open up our image field. Let's come down here and let's select image ID and update it. Okay, so let's come back over now to the ACF page, and we are going to just copy this code here, and we're going to come into our file editor. Now you'll see I have a 2020 child theme, and I'm going to put this code in my singular PHP file. Obviously you could put this anywhere in your WordPress website in templates or in custom template pages and also template parts. To keep this simple, I'm just using my singular PHP. I went over there and I copied this from my 2020 theme and I pasted it into my 2020 child theme. Okay, so let's open this guy up right here. And you'll see we have our singular PHP code, and we're just gonna give ourselves some space here after our main content. And first, what thing I want to do is just copy in some code here. So I've basically just created a div called post reference with the class of post reference and section inner. And that's basically just gonna pull in some simple CSS that I created here. Let me go back over here and grab this again. And now we're gonna paste all that code here in our div. Okay, let's just clean this up a little bit before we get started. Let's give some space so we can see what's going on here. Okay, so here we are inside our div. Now we need to use open and close PHP tags so that we could eventually create some HTML within this if we need to. And one thing we need here is to close our PHP tag right here. So we're just gonna do this. So we're gonna open our PHP and we're gonna create a variable called image. And the image is going to equal the get field image. And we call this product image. So we're gonna come in here and we're just gonna paste that. And then it's also creating a variable called size that's gonna equal full. And I'm gonna show you where they're gonna get this information from in just a second. So for now, it's asking, we have an if statement that's asking if there is data in the image, then echo the WP get attachment image, the image and the size. And this is a WordPress function that they're using here to spit out the image and the image size. Okay, so let's save this, come back to our post, refresh it, and here is our bike. You could also see here that there is no title tags being pulled in. So if I just hover over this, it usually will spit out the title tag. If I select image inspect and look at this image in here, I'll see that it has the alt tag right here for cool bike, and you don't see the title tag in here. Okay, but we got our image in here. So now I want to show you what it is that they're doing here with this size variable that they created to equal full. Well, what does full mean? Well, here you can see that they let you know that you could use thumbnail, medium, large, full, or even a custom size. Let's just go ahead and show you in here that you could select thumbnail, come back and refresh it, and you'll be given the thumbnail size. Okay, let's go in here and see how we could use some of this data to display exactly what it is that we want to display. Okay, so within this function that Advanced Custom Fields has created called get field, it stores in an array of items that you could use when you're using the array function. Now, when you're just using the spit out the image ID, it doesn't give you all that data that you could use. Let me show you what I mean. Let's come in here and we're gonna do var underscore dump. And within it, we are gonna put our variable that we created called image. And then we're gonna close our PHP tag just like that. And we're gonna save it. Come to our page and refresh it. And you'll see down here, it has spit out everything that it's collected. And basically all that is collected and spitting out is the integer, which is a number of 22. Remember, and that was our post ID. So let's come back over here to our image field and we're gonna edit this guy. And down here, we are now gonna select the image array. We're gonna come over here to our post and refresh it. And now that var dump is gonna spit out the array of items that we have at our fingertips. So you'll see here, it has our ID, it has our title, our file name, our caption, so on and so forth. And then down here, we have an array of sizes. And here's the different sizes that we could choose from. And we could also choose from widths and heights and so on and so forth. Now, let's come back over here to our advanced custom fields and move on from here to down here. And down here, you can see we are now using the display image array. And the reason why you would want that basically is this return type provides extra image data such as alt text, caption, etc. And you almost, in most cases, always want to use this. Now, if you're just using this to generate a logo or something like that, an image like this thing or something, then you don't need all this data. But if you're gonna do a product, if you're gonna do an image on your website, you almost always want this data that's in there, okay? So now let's copy this PHP here and replace this PHP. Let's clean it up. Okay, and we're gonna leave our variable dump there. We're just gonna give ourselves some room. Let's give ourselves some more room. All right, bring this up here a little bit more. First things first, we're gonna open our PHP tag. We created the same variable called image, and it's gonna get the field that equals product image, okay? And then it's gonna say if it's not empty, then show this. Now, here is our basic string for an image, okay? So you have our image tag with the source, and the source is where the item lives, where the image lives, the URL. So let's just copy this real quick, come down here and paste it. And usually what happens is in this URL tag, there's something like this, okay? A URL of where our image lives, right? And then we have an alt tag of something like my image. And then so what happens is your image tag is gonna pull in your image from where it's located. It's gonna spit out an alt tag. It could spit out a title tag. Okay, and you could do all those things. So but what we are gonna do, let's just go ahead and copy this title tag since we don't have it up there yet. Let's copy this, come into here, give it a little space and paste it in there. Okay, let's get rid of this guy. I just wanted to give you an example of what an image tag usually looks like because this is looking a little complicated. So in our image, it's going to go to the source, right? And it's going to echo out the image URL. Now this is an attribute of the image. So if we come back over here to our var dump, and we could see that we have these different attributes, and the sizes is an attribute as well. Now, what I don't like the way this is displaying it, I believe Google Chrome displays it just a little bit differently, is that this ID could be in a square bracket. This thumbnail should be in a square bracket, because if you come back in here, that's what we are doing. We are pulling in that attribute, and we're gonna put it in a square bracket. Then we're gonna pull in the image, and we're gonna look for the alt tag, and we're gonna pull that in there, okay? So let's just copy this PHP right here and put it in within these parentheses right there. Okay, so now we want to pull in the title, and we're just gonna come into here and we are gonna say title. If you come back over here, you'll see that we have the attribute for title right here, and it's pulling in our information. Cool bike on sale. That was the title that we added when we created the image. Okay, same thing with our alt tag of cool bike, and same thing with our caption that we created. This is a cool caption. Okay, so let's come in here and let's save this. Come back to our post and refresh it. And you'll see now it is pulling in our bike. Now we want to make this, give this a size as well. And so you'll see down here that we have our array of sizes that we could choose from. And these are all the sizes that are chosen for us. And we could create custom sizes, and we could go on all day about how to create sizes for WordPress. For now, we are just going to use these array attributes, okay? So let's come back to our Advanced Custom Fields website so that we could see how they are using the customized display array. It's still an array. They're still pulling in the same thing that we are. They're just using it to create more data, okay? So one of the things that they did was they did the same thing. They created a variable called image, and they pulling in their image field that they called image, okay? So they're saying if there's an image, then create these variables. And you'll see these are similar to what's going on over here, okay? But these aren't new variables. This is just grabbing the first variable and pulling in the data that is available for us. Okay, so but what if we wanted to create different sizes? Okay, and you'll see here that they've created a size variable that equals thumbnail. Okay, then they've also created other image variables, so they say the thumb is equal to the image size and then what size, okay? This is the sizes that we are finding right here, okay, where it says sizes. And this is how come I'm saying this could be in square brackets, and then this could be in square brackets. Because if you come back over here, you'll see what they are doing is they're going to say that this sizes is going to equal this variable that they're going to call size. Okay, so the size right here is equal to thumbnail. And then they're saying what thumbnail is equal to. This way, they could use that down here to echo out a certain size. So if we come back to our variables down here, you could see there's different URLs for the different sizes that WordPress has created when we uploaded this image, okay? And that's what we are going to use. So we've created our image variable, and we are already pulling in our URLs and stuff, and we don't really need that. But what we do want to do is create a thumbnail size, okay? So what we want to do is create a size variable, and we want to tell it what size the thumbnail is going to be. So let's just copy this code, and under this image variable, we're going to paste in our new variables. Okay, clean that up as always. Okay, so now we've created a new variable, and the size is going to equal thumbnail. And then thumb equals image. It's going to pull in the sizes attribute, and it's going to pull in this size. Okay. If we wanted to pull it in a different size, we could create other variables. We could create a variable that says large. We could say large equals large. Okay, for now we're just going to say size equals thumbnail, and then we're going to create a new variable that we could use throughout our website and say thumb equals image. That's going to go for the sizes and select this variable. I know it sounds complicated, but the more you do this, the more you'll get used to it. So now we're going to echo out our PHP, and we're going to echo out the source URL. Okay, now when you see this escape and escape here, that's because we're using HTML attributes, and we need to do that when we are writing our PHP. So you can't just echo out the variable. You got to echo out the variable, and it's going to transform it into HTML that your web browser could read as HTML. Okay, so it's going to go to the image variable that we created, and it's going to pull in the URL for its image source. Okay. And then what we now need is a little bit different code down here. And if you come down here, you'll see what they're going to do is now their image source is going to spit out the URL that they created for this variable thumb. Let's copy this PHP right there. Come back into our code where we have our image source, and we're just going to paste this PHP right here in our quotes. Save this, come back to our post and refresh. And you'll see now our image is being posted as a thumbnail. And that's how they are using these variables that they're creating. Okay, they also created a variable for the alt tag. They created a variable for the URL tag, and that's all here. So they created variables and grabbed the data. And then they created variables, and then once again, grabbed the data and the attributes attributed to each one. And they also created a place for the caption to be spit out. And you can see that here. It's a paragraph with the class of WP caption text, and they spit that out here. Let's just go ahead and copy all this, come back to our code, and let's replace all this within our div here. okay? And we even got rid of our variable dump, okay? So we're just gonna come up here and we're gonna make sure all this matches the way we wanted it to, which was the first thing we need to do is make sure our image is get field again, product image, okay? And then after that, everything else should work because all it's doing is creating these variables and creating these variables from the data within the array. And then it's gonna spit everything out. These are using WordPress classes, and so that's where these come from. So let's go ahead and save this and refresh our post. And you'll see it spits out our image and it has our caption here. If we hover over this, you'll see our title comes up. And then if we click on it as well, it becomes a clickable link that takes us to our image. And that's how you get started using the image field in Advanced Custom Fields. I encourage you to come over here, play with the display image. It pretty much repeats exactly what we've been doing. Write your if statements so that if nothing is placed in there, then those items don't come up, okay? So always write your statements in ifs and if statements, because if someone didn't fill out a caption, this doesn't need to run. Join me in my next video where we go over a new field in Advanced Custom Fields. Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful, and I'll catch you in the next one. Aloha.